The knock you did not expect, beloved soul. Chosen one. Before you rush past this moment, stop. Not because this is dramatic, not because these words sound spiritual, but because something in you felt the pull to stay. That pull is not random. God says, I am about to do something that will interrupt your routine and redefine your future. You were not searching for this message. You were not expecting it. And yet, here you are. That alone should tell you something. This is not about a physical door only. When God says, someone is coming to your door, He is not speaking only of wood and hinges. He is speaking of a moment you did not schedule, a conversation you did not anticipate, an opportunity you did not chase, a person you did not plan for, a shift you stopped hoping for. God says, the door represents access, and access is about to change. For a long time, you have been on the inside of waiting for clarity, waiting for movement, waiting for relief, waiting for something, anything, to change. You told yourself, maybe this is just how life is now. But God says, no, this was a pause, not a conclusion. Why this surprise is coming now. You have to understand timing. This could not have happened earlier. Earlier you would have questioned it, distrusted it, mishandled it, attached fear to it, or rejected it because it didn't look familiar. God says, I waited until your heart was tired of controlling outcomes. You are no longer demanding answers. You are no longer chasing validation. You are no longer forcing doors open. You are simply surviving, quietly. And that is when heaven moves, because desperation listens differently than ambition. You were chosen for interruption, not comfort. Chosen ones often misunderstand their own season. You thought being chosen meant constant clarity, constant peace, constant progress. But being chosen actually means frequent disruption, unexpected redirection, sudden changes that don't ask permission. God says, I do not always warn my chosen ones, I reposition them. That is why this surprise is not coming gently, it is coming suddenly. The silence you've been living in was not empty. Let's talk about the quiet. There were nights you felt unseen, days where nothing seemed to move, moments where your prayers felt like echoes, and you wondered, did God forget me? God says, no. I was preparing the arrival, not ignoring the wait. Silence is not absence. Silence is staging. He was aligning people you have never met, conversations you never heard, decisions you never influenced. While you were wondering when, God was deciding how. The person coming is not who you expect. This is important. The person arriving at your door will not look like your prayers. They may not sound spiritual, look impressive, carry obvious answers, immediately feel safe. God says, do not judge the vessel by familiarity. I use unfamiliarity to bypass fear. You have been asking God to fix things your way, but God says, what I am sending will fix things my way, and my way will feel uncomfortable at first. Why you must not ignore the knock. There is a danger here, not rejection, but hesitation. Because when you have waited too long, hope becomes cautious. You may hear the knock and think, probably not for me, probably another disappointment. I don't have the energy to be hopeful again. God says, answer anyway. Not because you are confident, but because obedience does not require certainty. This knock is connected to your future, not your past. God is not revisiting what hurt you. He is not reopening wounds. He is not testing your patience again. God says, this knock is about what's next, not what was. It will not ask you to relive pain. It will ask you to move forward. And forward always feels risky when you've learned to survive in place. Why everything changes after this. After this moment, things will not return to normal, because normal was never your destination. God says, once the door opens, alignment accelerates. Things that felt stuck will begin moving. Conversations will start making sense. Decisions will feel lighter. Fear will lose its grip slowly, not because life becomes perfect, but because direction becomes clear. A warning for the chosen. Do not overthink the arrival. Chosen ones tend to analyze blessings until they expire. God says, discernment does not mean delay. If peace accompanies the knock, even quietly, that is your confirmation. What you need to do right now. You don't need to prepare. You don't need to fix yourself. You don't need to be ready. God says, just be open. Open hearts recognize divine timing faster than guarded minds. This is only the beginning. This message is not the surprise. It is the announcement. The knock is closer than you think. And when it comes, you will remember these words. Because God says, I warned you so fear wouldn't talk you out of it. Who is coming and why now? Beloved chosen one, if you are still here, it is not by curiosity. It is by confirmation. God says, you stayed because your spirit recognized the timing. Now listen carefully. The person coming is not random. They are assigned. Let us clear this confusion first. This is not about anyone walking into your life. God is very precise. God says, I do not send visitors. I send assignments. The one coming carries something you cannot access alone. Not because you are weak, not because you failed, but because destiny is never fulfilled in isolation. This person may come as a helper, a connector, a messenger, a door opener, a catalyst, or even a confrontation. But make no mistake, they are heaven authorized. Why you couldn't reach this blessing by yourself? You tried, you planned, you prayed, you waited, you pushed, you endured, and still nothing moved. That frustrated you. You wondered, why would God make me wait this long? God answers, because what I prepared for you required agreement, not effort. Some doors don't open with strength. They open with alignment, and alignment requires people. This is why it had to come through a person. God often hides answers inside people, not to complicate things, but to humble us. Because when God answers through people, pride cannot take credit. Control must be released. Trust must be exercised. God says, if I did it alone, you would never learn interdependence. This person is not replacing you. They are completing a missing link. Why now and not before? This is the question your heart has been asking. Why now? Why after loss? Why after exhaustion? Why after disappointment? Why when hope feels fragile? God says, because now you will not idolize the gift. Earlier, you would have clung too tightly, trusted too blindly, expected too much, or lost yourself in the blessing. Now, you are grounded. You don't want excitement anymore. You want peace, and peace is the only soil strong enough to hold what's coming. The role of your pain in this arrival. Do not misunderstand this part. God did not cause your pain, but He used it. Every delay trained discernment. Every disappointment refined your voice. Every betrayal taught boundaries. Every silence built spiritual hearing. God says, you can now recognize what is from me. That is why this person could not come earlier. You wouldn't have known how to receive them. The person may not look like a blessing at first. This part is critical. The arrival may feel awkward, disruptive, inconvenient, emotionally confusing, or even disappointing. At first, God warns, do not measure impact by first impression. The most life-changing connections often arrive quietly. No fireworks, no announcement, no instant clarity, just a moment that feels different. Why your spirit will recognize them before your mind does. Your mind will analyze. Your spirit will know. That's how divine recognition works. You may not trust immediately. You may not understand immediately. But something inside you will whisper, "Pay attention." God says, "That whisper is me." Do not silence it with logic. This person is connected to your next season, not your comfort zone. Let's be honest. You have become comfortable with survival. You know how to function in lack. You know how to manage disappointment. You know how to expect less. This person threatens that familiarity. God says, they are not here to keep you safe. They are here to move you forward. Forward always feels unsafe at first. What this person will activate their presence, will begin to unlock things you thought were gone forever. Motivation, vision, courage, direction, identity, not overnight, but steadily. God says, what died was not your purpose, only your momentum. Momentum is about to return. Why this arrival will require a response from you. This is not passive. This is not something you just receive and watch. You will be required to speak when you'd rather stay silent. Trust when you'd rather withdraw. Move when you'd rather wait. Open when you'd rather protect. God says, I will not force you, I will invite you. Invitation requires response. The greatest risk is doing nothing. Here is the warning. Not rejection, not rebellion, but hesitation. You may delay because you are tired, you are cautious, you are afraid to hope again. God says, delay will cost you momentum again. This time, respond even if your voice shakes. What changes immediately after you answer? Once you respond, truly respond, the atmosphere shifts. Not everything fixes itself, but clarity begins, confusion lifts, fear loosens, direction sharpens. God says, I do not reveal the whole path, only the next step. And the next step is connected to this person. This is not a test. It is a transition. Stop treating every opportunity like a trap. This is not God testing your loyalty. God says, I already know your heart. This is transition. Transition feels unstable because it moves you between identities. You are leaving who you were. You are not yet who you will be. And this person is a bridge. The door is already unlocked. One last truth. You don't need permission. You don't need signs multiplied. You don't need everything to make sense. God says, the door is unlocked. I am waiting for your hand on the handle. What to hold in your heart right now? Stay alert. Stay humble. Stay open. Not anxious. Not desperate. Not forcing. Just aware. Because God says, the knock is closer than you think.